There we go. We are live on a Sunday evening, Truth Proof Interactive. Welcome everybody from the UK and around the world, and welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Les, and welcome to yourself. You had a good week?
Well, yes, probably regular viewers will know. I have just come back from Loch Ness, and had a decent trip there, so not too bad.
Okay, well, I need to get this in before we start getting weighed into it. I got a text from EE to say that my internet had been fixed. Well, it hasn't, as Les can testify, because we were on 10 minutes before and it's froze up. So, so much for upgrading, because it's going to happen, people. So you might see me in some weird position, just stuck like that for 30 seconds. You're just going to have to deal with it. I can't do anything about it. Loch Ness, how did it go?
Well, it went as I expected. I went out there for a purpose, achieved what I set out to do, and then come back with the results. So yeah, all good. We can probably talk a little bit more about it as the show goes on, Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say, I forgot to just jump onto how many people we've got in here. We've got nearly 90 people in. Ivan Stead, Mark Anderson, Henrietta, is it Carrot? So we've got the Enigma, NM. Let's have a look. I think Mrs. Linny will be in. Pete, I hope you're watching, mate. Hope you're feeling better. Let's have a look here. Martin Abbas, Big Shooter, Jack, Disabled Welshman, Awake, and it's moving up today. They saw Dragonborn's in, Zero Dawn, Patrick Daniel, good to see you, Patrick. Let's have a look. Matt G, Bill, let's have a look. Robert Hilton, 40, and Danny M, 2ME. So yeah, loads of people. Tony Worrell and Olgie, is it Olgie? Yeah, Tom Waters, good to see you, Tom. Scotch Mist, Rob Barker, and let's jump into it, Les. Let's just talk about a few things. And remember, people, an hour, your questions, just kick around what you're thinking, what's on your mind, what interests you the most. And we'll see what it's all about. Just throw it out there, yeah.
And thank you, Lee, for moderating, and Alison for moderating tonight. Great to see you in here. Okay, so if you've got any questions, as Paul said, please put those in caps. I know there's pretty good discussion topic for this week, Paul. And do you want me to start off with that?
Yeah, kick it off. Let's have a look.
Well, it's got to be the big story of the week. I think it's the Manchester Airport UFO sighting and landing, apparently, an orb of some kind. And people are saying, is it a drone? Or they're classing it as an orb? What is this orb? And how does it get through the airspace onto Manchester Airport?
It's absolutely incredible. I haven't done lots of reading on this, I'll be honest with you. I know you've done a little bit of it. And I spoke to Chris Turner, and Chris had got some pictures he'd been sent. And I suppose they're out there. Most of the people in chat. This is Andy Decodes in, Lisa's in, Karen Behrman, Steve-O, Jane Louise. So lots of people have probably done a lot more than me. So what's your thoughts on it? Just throw it out there for me and Les. But I find it fascinating. Somebody has contacted me from RAF Leeming. Lakenheath, sorry. Yeah. And that's as much as I'll say as regards being contacted, but they say it's the buzz of the airbase, literally, because, after sending aircraft in the direction of these things, nothing can touch them. So, I mean, there's not to say it isn't some kind of man-made object, but it's fascinating that it's sort of, these things are getting through and managing to land in close proximity to aircraft and just disappearing at great speed when approached. What are they?
And really, when I was looking into a little bit more about it, people were likening it to other sightings in America and around the world. I think Brazil was another place. And the orb looks very, very similar, when you can get a good, clear picture of this orb. So are we talking of the same thing, duplicitous things? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's hard not to link it to what I don't mean we've got the orb up at Bempton and Speeton, but when you think about the things that we've been seeing over the last 3 or 4 months, this disc in close proximity, there's 4 of us that's seen it, and not just seen it separately, seen it, with another witness sort of thing. Then it's on film, this revolving sphere. It kind of makes you wonder whether it's man-made or some other kind of tech that we're just totally unaware of its origins. It makes you wonder if these things are around us. I mean, I did think about going up to RAF Staxton Wold. We, like I've said many times, myself and Steve Ashbridge spent years up there at the back of the airbase observing, because we knew it were an active spot for light form phenomena. And Jeremy, one of lads who comes onto cliff tops, lives near Filingdales. You know, and I noted that he weren't up on Friday, and I wonder if he's been up there. I'll have to give him a shout. He might be in chat. I wonder if he were up there, just seeing if he could catch up, because he's got some pretty good camera gear now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just going back to the Manchester so-called UFO landing drone, or whatever you want to call it. What's remarkable to me is the ambivalent attitude from authorities about this thing. You'd think it would be a national security issue.
Well, you're absolutely spot on, because when you put a freedom information request in years ago, you'd have dropped the UFO desk now, allegedly. Although I got a letter back, then I by mistake, when someone was seen in near Staxton Wold, saying that all the reports went to RAF Leeming. That's where I got Leeming from. So they hadn't dropped it, because that were after they said they dropped it. But when you think about it, the standard reply used to be, if it's not a threat to UK air defence or the UK in general, they don't investigate it. Well, I'd have thought, like you've just said, with all tensions in the world at the moment, with everything just being on sort of high alert, something that can penetrate UK airspace and just literally do what it wants and leave when it wants, you don't. It's an unknown threat, isn't it? Potentially.
Well, yeah, and to be underplayed like it is by the media, you know, the media are culprits here, and you know, news authorities, media, and governments. Then there's something wrong. There's something not quite right with all this.
Well, you're right about it being underplayed, and you know, we're not a conspiracy site, but they're only puppets, aren't they? And they'll go in direction that higher echelons of power will want them to go. So we know that, because you can look at other news outlets that aren't as popular, should we say, as what the sheep will kind of watch on TV. And there's lots of information out there. And not only that goes other way then as well. And there's lots of crazy information out there as well. But yeah, it's a fascinating one. On back of that, has any questions come in, or have you got any more to add to that?
No, well, we'll just at this point, just let's get people's thoughts on this. And I know there is some things coming. I'll just throw this on just for a little bit of fun. Enigma, Les, I have a feeling your T-shirt may say something rude at the bottom of the screen. Ha, ha, ha. Well, it does. And I'm not going to show it because of YouTube rules and regulations.
All right. It's not your
You'll have to guess what that says is. It says, yeah, that's what I'm saying on that one.
Excellent.
Okay, well, Jane, Louise Harding, I've not heard anything about this sighting, you know, what we just talked about, yeah?
I'm pretty much same as you, Jane. I've heard about it. I've done a little bit of reading about it. I know Les has done more than me. I've just wrapped myself up in my own stuff, don't I? And really, this is important. It's well worth looking into, because we've got military bases around us. So if these things are showing up around military bases, it might be worth spending a bit of time observing. You don't have to get on doorstep at base and infringe any legalities, but you can get it within distance and observe.
Okay, then let me go to my the questions. The Sober Carper. Let's have a look what Sober Carper says. Has Bempton or any other active places where you investigate known at any time for worshipping, i.e., pagan, devil, etc.?
Do you know, there's a lot of talk about ritualistic stuff around the area, and even witchcraft. So yeah, it has been known for it. But I think that's same in North Yorkshire, and it could be same in any town in England. If if people gravitate to what they're interested in, don't they? So it'll be there. That kind of stuff will be there if you look hard enough, I would think, and I've been looking at some. I've talked about those tree breaks. I think I did last week, didn't I, Les?
Yeah.
Well, the last time we were on,
you've got a bit more work to do on that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some strange gifting around it, and that I don't know whether we'd call it gifting, but it's 3D printed objects. But you imagine a 3D printer, and you imagine producing something as big as that. Well, they're not. They're huge. There's as it when in terms of a 3D printer. I mean, they're bigger than that A4. There's a bell and other things and skulls and all sorts of things. And something's happening there, and I don't know what it is. And that's pretty new. But the tree breaks, they're quite historic, but they're not just broke. Imagine if I broke that pen in half, you'd see the shards pointing up, wouldn't you, in different directions. There's about 25 trees. I thought there were 14 or 15. They're bent. And you can see all the fibres. I don't know what can do it. It's almost like heat's done it, if that's possible even, or steam, which we know was not going to happen 20 to 25 foot up a tree. But no. I know that's not where we went with that sober, pagan and the devil, but something's happening there. But I would say it's happening in all areas at UK. It's just knowing where to look. And if you ask the right questions and you want to get involved in something like that, which I know you don't, and I don't, but you'll gravitate to that kind of people. They'll find you, like attracts like.
Okay, got this one from Mark Anderson. Hi all, there's a new podcast called The Telepathy Tapes regarding autistics reading minds. Can I ask what everyone's thoughts are on this?
Well, good to see you or hear from you, Mark. I would imagine you're putting that out to other people. So maybe Alison and Les can throw a few questions and thoughts on it. My thoughts are that obviously people are autistic and with Asperger's, they think a little bit different. They're still unique and special people, but maybe that attracts this unknown. Maybe the unknown's attracted to that thought process. I don't know.
Yeah, and just to put a little bit more on this, I do have a close family member who is autistic, who we identified very early on when he was about 3 years of age. You saw these traits in him where his thought patterns were elsewhere. He was not listening to the speaker giving him telling him anything. He was just doing his own thing. So I think the thought patterns in autistic people, as you said, Paul, they go in a different direction.
Yeah,
they go in places that us people who, for want of a better phrase, think more rationally. They go in places that we've never even heard of or seen or know anything about.
And everybody in chat knows this, but you often hear of people with autism having incredible skills or a skill set for one particular thing. And I suppose it's that focus. It's that absolute.
That's right. Yeah.
Because direction.
Yeah. And what we found with our family member is what you just said. The focus is like a laser beam.
Yep.
And anything out that side, left, right is not interested.
And this is why I like questions like what Mark's just thrown out there. That's a great question when you think about it, Mark. And for another reason, and some people might say, yeah, I get what you mean, and others might think no. But after an experience, UFO related, some highly spiritual, or paranormal, you often get reports of people suddenly becoming focused on art or literature, and the channel to turning out something really creative, almost like the traits we've just been talking about, because they just become so focused. And that's interesting in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So well, that looks an interesting podcast, Mark. I'll try and get into that myself, yeah, and have a look in that on that one. Let's have a look then. Paul from Tetrastatic. Paul, did you get the photos I emailed you?
I did, and it'll be on my list probably to about 5 in the morning to message you back. And thanks for the photographs. Well, and I may as well say it now. Part of messages, some of them photographs, I don't know if I've got permissions to use them. You've sent them me, but I don't know who they're from. I know they're from you, so I'm not being sarcastic here, but I don't know if they're yours because it doesn't say. So I'll message you back in the morning. I think you sent me about 6 photographs, and if they are yours or we have got permission to use them, we'll have a look at them on Sunday, next Sunday.
Okay, Lisa says, I saw blue spheres drop out of the sky after telepathy in Manchester. Someone filmed in Salford and have pictures of very similar objects. So that's
after telepathy in Manchester. Okay.
Whether Lisa went through a telepathy I'm not too quite sure what she means there, but
well, obvious telepathy, as in you're trying to contact something, Lisa. I'm imagining, and then you actually saw the blue spheres, perhaps. Yes or no? I think that's where you are with it. And somebody filmed similar pictures of similar objects in Salford. It's interesting. And when you say Manchester, when?
Yeah, was it recent?
Yeah.
Okay, Neil. Hi, are you aware of Deborah Hartswell's BBR investigation about the 12 werewolf encounters in Cannock Chase?
No, I'm not aware of what she does, to be honest with you. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, I don't know, neither.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just not. Right. Well, here's another question, Les.
David Barker, what about all the so-called drones over military bases in the UK and America?
Yeah. Well, we just kicked that about, Dave, and it is fascinating, and no doubt this is going to run and run, because there's going to be lots of people debating, and there might even be people coming out from military bases giving us their views on what it is. I mean, throw it out there in chat. Do you think it's man-made? Do you think it's something other? Do you think it's some kind of warning from, we talked about, we did that short months and months ago called The Art of War, I think it was called, where we went back in time and where people had reported thousands of years ago on great battles where UFOs had appeared. Are we seeing warnings? Is before something catastrophic could happen with the world? Or am I being too dramatic there? I don't know. Are these some other intelligence that's showing us what they're capable of? Is it just the Western world that are seeing the drones? Does anybody know that?
Yeah, because we don't seem to get reports from anywhere else, do we?
No, they won't want
I've
to
read
know.
any. I've not read any. But not to say there isn't. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Let's move on with Lisa.
I don't mention this internet. It's not froze yet, has it?
Quiet. Lisa, I've got military landing near where UFOs are on the ground, and they don't do anything. Well, that's interesting.
I've got military landing near where UFOs, and they don't do.
The military don't do anything. That's what she's alluding to there. Yeah.
I don't know whether they do or they don't, Lisa. We've in the early 2000s, when we spent a lot of time on the walls, we could see these lights, what the farmers had been contacting us about, and we were going onto their land and observing and hoping we get a glimpse of these things. And we spent years up there, by the way. We didn't see things every night, but on odd occasions we did. And you could guarantee 5-10 minutes after there'd be jets in area, which is interesting. Like you said, and these things were low down. I mean, Jessica, one of our daughters, should say mine, our daughters, were in between uni. She'd come home and she came up onto Wolds with me, and we were at a place called we were at Cotton, overlooking a crop, and I'm looking at a gold sphere of light in the sky, and I'm filming it, and I've got that bit of footage still. And our Jessica's talking about it, and it turns out when I look down, she's talking about a blue orb that's moving across the corn, which I never got on film. Because when I'd finished filming and looked down, she's still talking about it, and there's a blue orb in field moving across the top of corn. So I don't think that's anything to do with military or whatever, but you do see military activity after these things in some instances.
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul. Let's have a look. Steve 071. Paul, do you ever think we're any closer to getting the answer with the paranormal? The more it just changes its parameters to stop us reaching any firm conclusions. Do you think all this thing moves that one step further away?
Yeah, I think it does. If we go back in time, Steve, and you look at what people were seeing, say in 1960s, the shape of the objects and everything, it were almost as though Movieland had created what they thought a flying saucer was, obviously based on people's descriptions. And we thought then that people were visiting us, and people claimed to have had contact with people from Venus, Venusians, and all that seems to have changed. But that doesn't necessarily mean those people were lying. I mean, I was talking about this at weekend, and I don't think I need to do a little bit more. I need to invest a bit more time and thought on it. But I'm wondering if, in some instances, we're creating some of this, the power of the mind. And I don't mean that it doesn't exist. I don't mean that the UFOs, the paranormal, is not real. But you know, jump to the Ouija board. Perfect example. People go into that thinking that they're going to have some frightening experience in some instances, and they do. I wonder if we're creating these things in some instances. So, you know, thought forms, and it does make you wonder. I know as a collective, we get nights up on those cliffs, we get nights up on the walls where things happen, and it just seems to take that one tick, that one trigger, and then lots of things are happening, but the mindset of everybody involved is focused. It's difficult because as fast as you think one thing, like Steve's alluding to here, something else happens that sends your mind in a totally different direction. You know, Linny, he were on about one of his family members other day, and seeing lights coming from their hands. And I met this lady a few weeks ago, lovely lady, and I don't think kind of person that's going to come out with anything unless it were real, unless it happened. But what does all that mean? She's actually seeing this light emitting from her hands, and I found that fascinating. And we weren't placed to talk to her about it, but I'd love to speak to her about it. All sorts of things that just throw us in all directions, basically, Steve. So I don't think anybody's wrong. You know, whatever direction you're going in, because I think it can be all things.
Okay, Lee says, going back to the UFOs on the airport,
right.
This activity is around a small airport near Manchester.
Okay.
So
and I wonder, Lisa, are you going to find yourself trying to observe around there? Are you allowed, or would you create too much suspicion? I suppose the way of the world at the moment, I mean, I'm talking about getting up around Staxton Wold. We'll probably create a bit of suspicion parked up there in night. You know, obviously, but like I said, we won't be outside the gates. But military bases, I think it might be a good time if you're interested in unexplained phenomena to observe from a safe distance and see if there's anything in the skies to be seen.
Okay, 1423 is saying, last I heard about the airport UAP incidents, it was being explained away as some sort of cover story for the movement of military hardware in connection with the Ukraine. It's just what I picked up on.
Yeah, and you know, you could be right, but I don't. When were it 40 and all, Les or anybody, that we had this little bit of a surge in drone activity around airports a few years ago, I believe, and nobody got to the bottom of what these things were. Can you remember? I
think it's been kind of bubbling away, as you say, Paul, for the last 3 or 4 years, but suddenly it's exploded.
And I mean that one that were photographed or filmed, it was a blue sphere, weren't it? Has anybody got any footage of them during the night? And you know, and in fact, I was sent some footage other week from the wind turbines at Lisset, or around the wind turbines, and there's 2 orange spheres moving very close to the wind turbines. So yeah, we'll probably play that on Sunday.
Okay.
I know it's Sunday today, people, by the way.
Static, going back to your photos that they sent you.
Yes, you can. Right, thank you. I'm assuming that they're your photographs then. And there were one that you'd said were a tube, and to me it looked a little bit like lens flare. But the others, there were a couple of others that I found fascinating. So yeah, we'll have a look at them, Tetra. Thank you.
Okay, and the next one I've got. Zeno is saying, my autism is a blessed case. I have OCD obsession and chronology, timelines, MCU, etc., and must go into chronological order. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? And I don't know. I suppose I don't mean we're all slightly like that, but all of us have as little ways and mannerisms. It's just more intense, and it sounds like you can't stop yourself doing it, but it's not. It's like having depression or all like that. You could say to somebody, pull yourself out of it. You just can't, can you? It's just the way you're made.
Here's a good question from Chris Goostrey. Chris asks, do you think the wide use of drones will actually stop folk reporting unusual sightings? simply putting them down to drone activity. I saw hovering lights the other night, but instantly thought drone.
You make a good point. Yeah, you make a good point, Chris. And but you make a good point, but I don't think that setting drones down around aircraft and plane runways and that would put people off. There's another reason for these, and it's either some incredible military tech that's I don't know, being tested and seeing how quick it is for our radar and other equipment to detect it by ourselves. Or it's some other country that's opposed to us doing it, or it's something unknown saying, look what I can do, look what we can do. I don't know any one of them or none of them. You know, like I said, I don't think there's a right answer when we're not going to get told it, are we?
No, I don't think so. Right then, so moving on. Bumps in the night, bumps into things in the night, suspects it's some kind of warning from another country.
Yeah, well, you know, like we've just said, bumps, that could be. That there's probably not a wrong or a right answer. You can bet as soon as one of these things is captured then by our country.
I've just got to come off screen for a second, Paul.
No worries. Yeah, fair. As soon as I hope this don't freeze up now, but Alison's got probably access to a few questions, maybe. But as soon as this is captured by ours, I think we'd be knowing about it then, won't we? So it's got to be pretty elusive, pretty aloof if that's the case. And so let's have a look. Are we having fun? Let's have a look, Lisa. They're having fun with us, yes, Paul. They have a sense of humour. Well, are we talking? I don't think we're talking about other countries there, are we, Lisa? Yeah. So, do we have another question, Alison? I don't know whether you can put them up from there. No, she probably can't. Right, okay then. Well, Les is off, and we might just break from this in a minute. But I was sent a report from 1977 from Halifax. I liked that report because Bob Brown, who's in our top flat, he had a sighting in 1977 from Halifax. I haven't spoke to Bob about this yet, but I suspect it's the same one that he had, and it's from some 3 ladies who were working at the Philips tumble dryer factory at Lightcliffe in Halifax. So if anybody's from that area, you'll know what I mean. Witness will call Mary, a sister and a work colleague, got off the bus. Now, this is not dissimilar to the Leslie Buttle sighting of 1977 at the Britax factory. So we'll run with this, and then we'll come back to Les with some questions. So they were working shifts. So not unlike Leslie Buttle at the Britax factory in Carnaby, here in Bridlington, both in 1977. Sky were clear, frosty night. Everything sounds like the Buttle sighting, except this one's in Halifax. They saw a dark shape from the southwest, kind of silhouetted against the sky, and it appeared to be moving towards them. They could also see lights on it. I mean, that's kind of a telltale that it's something of ours. There were no lights on what Leslie Buttle saw, but I find the fascinating that they saw it within the same time frame, and 3 factory workers in Halifax and 3 factory workers in Bridlington. So there were lights on it. Between them, they're described as very bright, large, and flashing white light in between the lights. She described it as looking like a floodlight. Now, it says, being a bit of an aviation buff, I flew RC models back then. I knew straight away there was no aircraft with nav lights unless it was in reverse. It moved towards them and towards the factory, towards Balliff Bridge, where it was seen by a work colleague of Mary's, who also told her about it the following morning. He described it as exactly as Mary had described it. So there were more than one witness. I mean, we're historic here. We're 1977. It's a lot of years ago. The following day at work, someone brought a copy of the Halifax Courier in, and there were more reports of the UFO. In the article about UFOs seen over Luddenfoot and further up the valley. I'm throwing this out because there might be someone old enough to remember this, and there might be a bit more information, because I'm trying to tie this together with the Bessingby sighting at Bridlington, which were also within the same time frame, and 3 ladies in each incident working a night shift. It mentioned the researcher's name as Trevor or Terry Whitaker, they think. and there were a picture apparently associated with it. So pretty, not loads of detail on it, but I'm hoping to get more detail. And that's just filled us in while we were waiting for Les with these questions. All right, Les.
Yep, we're back.
And the internet still survived.
They still survived after all that, Paul. Okay, then. Let's get back to Lisa was saying exactly, Paul, they've landed near me, Lisa is saying.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, easier said than done, Lisa, but, you know, has it made you want to try and observe and get some footage of these things, or is that just not possible? I realise if you're on your own, you don't want to be in some kind of dark, vulnerable place observing these things.
Precisely. Our moderator Lee is asking question. What's your thoughts, Paul Les, on the Bill Gates bother testing on cows and buying up land and farmland?
I don't know enough about it to comment, Lee. I'm sorry.
And I'm equally as blank on that one, Lee, until I do a little bit more reading. But I do know about it, but I just don't know any detail on it.
And I see Lisa, you might have put this one up, but she's saying I've got footage, which is interesting.
Yeah, I did. Okay, Bobby's saying drones shut down airports about 6 years ago. Just like what you was alluding to, Paul. Never heard anything more about them.
Yeah, do you know, Bob?
Which is really what I'm saying.
Do you know, Bob, Les, everybody else? I wouldn't have put it as 6 years ago, and you'll be right. You'll have looked at this and probably done a bit of work on it at the time. 6 years ago, that's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. 2018, them drones were seen, and there were a buzz about the internet about them then because nobody knew whose they were, what they were, where they were from, and we're in the same position today. I mean, how do they infiltrate an airport with all the tech that obviously they're getting detected anyway, but how are they getting away? How are they evading F-15s? It's nuts. I mean, this thing didn't have any wings on it. it's just a sphere. Yeah, it's fascinating. It'd be amazing if it's what we're looking at there on them cliffs and out at sea and on walls, because the spheres, aren't they, after all? I've said many times, I wonder what's behind that light. But, yeah.
Zeno, truth proof, have you heard about the web bot prophecy, which it suggested it predicted the sightings in line with 39 days after a temporal marker? That's Trump's interview. That was Trump's interview on Joe Rogan.
No, I haven't. No, you give us loads of stuff to look into, Zeno, or for people in chat to look into and come back with. And we'll throw it out there as well, you know. We've got quite a few guests lined up for the Thursdays up until Christmas, I think, Les, and a few after Christmas. However, if anybody's got something they want to share and you think, well, it's only going to take me half an hour, we'll run with it. Let's, you know, if it's interesting and our listeners want to hear it, let's be doing it. Okay.
Terry Donnelly, do you think greys are a tool used by different types of ET? They have been seen with Nordics, Travis Walton case, but also different looking ET at the Pascagoula case.
I don't know, Terry. I don't know. I mean, it's like we were talking about earlier. These beings, these intelligences seem to shift and morph into different things. I was talking about Hummingbee the other day, and the object that the guys in the industrial unit saw, as in Andrew's words, were a classic 1960s UFO with a little dome on top. You know, and I mean, no doubt that they saw it and experienced what they experienced, but to me, it looked like he's describing something that sounds like a child's model. You wouldn't have thought it were traversing the universe, which tells us, well, I don't know what it tells us. But I don't know, Pascagoula case, and just a word here that I've heard that Philip's not very well, so wishing him all the best from Truth Proof, and, you know, get well soon, mate. That's Philip Mantle, who's done a lot of work on Pascagoula. Okay. So another dish of Pascagoula, as I said earlier.
Ben 22, maybe greys are humans from the future.
Yeah. Who's to say they're not, Ben? And Don, who runs the website, contacted me yesterday, and he's been doing a little bit of theorizing and thinking that they could be humans from the future and time travel. And he's got something's come to him, and he told me to. He said, "Why don't you talk about it, Paul?" And I'm not keen on plagiarizing other people's thoughts, so there's one we'll get Don on to share that his thoughts on it. Said he'd never thought of it before, so might be interesting regarding time travel.
Definitely, that would be really interesting if we could get Don on. Simon, come to think about it, there's been loads of military-type planes and helicopters around here in Leeds over the last few weeks. So it's only confirming what we've just been talking about. I said there's like an increase, like an exponential increase in all these sightings just lately.
But that's not forced to be to do with UFOs, though, is it? It could be that everything.
Well, they could be preparing for war. Yeah, we don't know, do we? But I think Paul is frozen, so his prophecy came to pass, and Paul's internet is down. So I'll just fill in with this one before we ask any more questions. I did visit Loch Ness this week, and it was really, really, really interesting. And for Truth Proof, we did get an interview with Steve Felton, the Nessie hunter, and but we'll talk a little bit more about that in the future as this mini film for Truth Proof comes together. So
35 minutes we managed.
We did, yeah.
I had me
so
freeze frame.
So let's go with. Did we finish answering that one? Yeah, we did. Let's have a look. Neil, Full Blue Sphere videos on Casper Site YouTube channel, guys. So that's another YouTube channel for you to go and have a look at. And we don't always get, me and Paul don't always get chance all the time to view these channels. So if you've seen a good, interesting channels, do what Neil's done and just put it in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? It's, I mean, it sounds like if he's got images up of this this alleged sphere at the airport, people want to see it, not just hear us talking about it. I'm not really talking about it, am I? Because I've not got a lot of knowledge on it. Okay,
then. Let's go with this one from Bumps into Things in the Night. If the government, military, etc. know about UFOs and have seen them, they know they exist, why do you think they aren't up front with us about it? That's precisely what we're asking there.
There could be loads of reasons, Bumps, and anyone could be wrong or right, and they're not going to tell us, are they? If the UFOs are a true unknown, would they want to admit to the populace that they've no control over anything that's out there, and these things can just come and go at will? Would they want us to know that? Would they want us to? Would they want to keep us in dark so that other nations? Because let's face it, we're a vile species of animal. All we want to do is destroy opposing nations. So would they want to keep that a secret? Because they might think, the other nation might think, Christ, they've got some tech that's incredible, and we don't know what it's capable of. So I suppose there's loads of reasons why they'd want to remain stum about this. If we went right back to 1947, and that newspaper, the Roswell paper, claimed on front page that they'd recovered a disc, and they just about, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was an alien disc or something. And they soon changed that. So somebody jumped on that right away. Weren't Churchill and Eisenhower supposed to have had a meeting about UFOs and wanting it suppressed? That's back in 1952, I think. 1952, 54. Somebody will correct me there. But they're supposed to have had a meeting to suppress this knowledge to the public. It could be for biblical reasons. It could be for religious reasons, because it's going to shatter a lot of people's dreams if it turns out that these things come and they've got the all-knowing, all-divine power to actually impart knowledge on us that we could never know. And it's nothing to do with anybody's religion, and that's no slant on any religions of the world, but it's just nothing to do with any religions of the world. Loads of reasons, I suppose. Yeah, and I don't know.
No, I think you brought most of the popular reasons up there why governments don't tell us, or we hear nothing about them, or what have you. Which is
well, we've been steered, Les, aren't we? For the most part. Sorry about that. We've been steered in different directions for different reasons. So if they came and told us the truth and said, "Look, there is this intelligence out there that can do this and do that. We, as a populace, the sheeple would focus on it because they'd know there's a reality, they'd know there's a truth to it. I think they would anyway. I don't know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Okay, I've got a question from Madeline Wick. Are you receiving reports for your stratification tool from all over everywhere, or is it only local, Paul?
All over, but we want more. I mean, we've got 260 people in chat. Go to the truthproof.uk website. There's a link on it, and there's a report form there for your reports of an incident, paranormal of nature, UFO related, that myself and Martin Abbas want to look at your reports. It's all totally anonymous. You can remain absolutely anonymous. If you want to omit some of the questions, as Martin said when he came on weeks ago, you'll not be judged for omitting not wanting to answer a question. We're not here to judge you. We're trying to look for patterns in UFO incidents and episodes of eye strangeness. And I spoke to Martin earlier today, and I'll speak to Don tomorrow. We're going to put another link on because some people are struggling with it with the phones, saying it's too small. So there's going to be another link, or another link to an email address where you can just click on it and you'll get a document, a download document to fill in. And that's another way. But 260 people in chat. Let's have your reports, and just it's all confidential. Let's have the reports, and let's be seeing if there's patterns in your sightings and experiences.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, with what we've read out earlier from Lisa, I'm sure Lisa would be a prime candidate for if she wants to fill in the stratification. Yeah. So yeah,
it's not a book. You don't have to. You're not going to be there hours. It's just. But it is helping, and you've enough interesting subject to sit here for an hour listening to me and Les yarn on, and Alison and Lee feed these questions. So, it might be worthwhile.
Stephen Collin, hi Paul, I'm heading up to Staxton Wold tomorrow night in the hope I see something.
Brilliant, Stephen. I hope you do. Be sure to let us know. And yeah, it's fascinating. Well, we'll be up on coast. We'll be on those cliff tops, and from where you are, we won't see you obviously, but on a clear night we can see Staxton Wold. So you're only 12 miles away as the crow flies.
Steve Davis is asking.
I'll tell a lie. It might be 15 actually.
Steve Davis is asking, do you know if the owner, the former Bempton RF base, is aware of the high strangeness in the area, and would they allow a controlled or organised group with equipment visit underground?
I would think the answer to that would be no. There's cattle on base a lot at time, and it's bad enough when people are going up, trampling all over fences and climbing over fences and breaking wire. You're on cliffs that range from 200 to 400 foot, and you don't want livestock running about up there. I know that's not part of your question, Steve, but it's a working farm, and I always say, whenever I get chance, if this comes up, stay away from it. There's there's cliff top path. You can see it. You can see the base. There's nothing to see when you go on it anyway. It's all covered over, and unless you've got some really heavy plant machinery, you're not going to remove them concrete beams and things that are covering it over, and it's concreted in some instances. So I'd just say keep well away.
Yeah, as the same farming family owned that land since the RAF base was decommissioned, Paul, or is it?
I'm not certain. I think it was. I'm not certain, to be honest with you, Les.
Not that it's relevant to anything. No. I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah.
Okay. Right then. Totally different question from Darryl Cobb. Paul, how was your investigation going of the lightning September 1970 incident?
Well, it's these things, Darryl. They never stop. But you can't. You imagine. You don't wake up in the morning and think I'm going to work on XS894, which is the lightning that you're on about, because you can only go so far before you hit a wall. But eventually, someone will come forward with a little bit of information. Somebody's, funnily enough, Terry Brown, who we've had on here one Sunday, and Terry, who's been up to the cliff tops, told me a little bit about somebody who's got some information. I'm sure it was Terry, only last week. Dribs and drabs. There's lots of stuff stuff, lots of information regarding XS894 that I've got that we haven't talked about. It's no smoking gun. It's not something that I can't tell anybody. But there's that many things that I'm sort of involved with that you kind of lose track. It's like Hummambi. We talked about it the other week. If you concentrated on that story, you wouldn't do anything else. So it'll not stop. It'll never stop, Daryl, because I genuinely believe there's something there with XS894. But you just have to keep waiting for information to come in. There's somebody who comes in chat that's given me lots of information over years about it. And I'm appreciative of that. And he knows that half of what he's given me, I've never talked about. In fact, such as XS894 could potentially have been at a satellite RAF base under a tarpaulin, because it was seen by 2 airmen when they pulled tarp off, and they think it were XS. The instrument panels that were said to have been faulty were outside it. The ejector seat were outside it, and it shouldn't have been there. And that were years later, and they just went up to an hangar that were just nondescript hangar that weren't in use, and just a look inside it and pulled a tarp off. But I need more information on that to run with that. So why? Because normally it would have been scrapped. It's anybody that doesn't know about this case, you want to look into the 1970 UFO related incident. Now, I can't categorically state that it were a UFO related event. However, it's highly unusual.
And this kind of leads us on to a little bit of advertising, Bill, because that event was written in one of your books. Which book was it?
This one behind me, funnily enough. Oh, I got my hand right. Normally I'd go like that. This one here, Truth, you know, and I've written about that. Proof, yeah, the first Truth Proof book, and other aircraft tragedies. And let's get it right. That's what these things are, and that's why people get so fired up when so-called researchers talk about them as though it's entertainment. We've always got to be mindful of the fact that that's somebody's son, somebody's daughter. You know, it's real life to some people and not entertainment, but it still doesn't make it unworthy of investigating or looking into because something strange has happened. So what we're doing, the books, if physical copies of the books, truthproof.uk. If you want a DVD, a Wolflands DVD, an hard copy, truthproof.uk or eBay, just like the books as well. If you want to download the books as Kindle versions, they're on Amazon. And I think we've just about covered that, Les, haven't we? Oh, no, I haven't. Amazon Prime, if you want to look at the Wolflands DVD. I've noticed on social media, and I've no problem with it. Anybody sat in here now doing this, carry on doing it. People are advertising on my social media all the time, the books and everything they're doing. And the only person who's not advertising on my social media really is me. So I might, in the next few days, Les, will put something together for people if they want to buy any of these items as Christmas presents or for themselves. But that's not to deter anybody else from putting it onto my social media. Feel free to do it. If you've written a book or you've got something you want to push, I'm not bothered. Do it. Okay,
Lisa is saying they're having fun with us, Paul. They have a sense of humour.
It's a bit like cat and mouse, Lisa, isn't it? You know, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because like we said before, you see these things and then, well, perfect example. A diver, deep sea diver called Peter Fergus. Well, I'll keep it really quick, Les, because I know we've only got 10 minutes. He were in between jobs, so he was the guy that were diving off a cobble in Flamborough, which is a little fishing boat, retrieving lobsters and working in conjunction with fishermen. They stopped to have a break. We'll really condense this. And in the sky, there's a little cloud, bright day. The cloud cleared and there's a silver sphere, or lozenge type thing. He says it literally dropped to the surface of the sea and then just set off and in the direction of Filey. But he said they were just sat having a break near King and Queen Rocks at Flamborough. I think that's what he said. 5 to 10 minutes later, 2 lightnings just shot straight out over their heads and out towards where this thing had gone. Something had been detected. Anyway, go on, Les.
Okie doke. Chris James, I have info from inside the base. They said it wasn't drones, and top brass said it's not Russia or China.
It's fascinating, Chris. You know, who's to say you're not right, mate? I really don't know. Let's hope that something comes out. Let's hope that one of these things gets captured. You know, and it'd be interesting if it did get captured. You froze, Les? No, no, you haven't. It'd be interesting if one of these
things... that freezes, Paul. Yeah.
Well, I know. I can't believe it's done it for so long. It'd be if one of these things did get captured, it'd be well. Would we hear about it if it did? And if we did, that'd be really telling. Because, you know, I think that'd tell everybody and the mother that it's some other country's tech that they've captured. Because I think if they caught true alien, what we'd call alien technology, I don't think we'd hear about it.
Okay, next question from Yorkshire Grey 73. Apparently, a Chinese drone has been recovered on a military base in India. We can be sure that we are all spying on each other, not to say everything is a drone.
No, you make a good point, and I don't know about that, Gray, but that's, do you know something? Now we've talked that long about these drones tonight. I'll have a look at this week. I'll have a little read myself because I just tend to live in this little bubble, don't I? So, but it is fascinating.
Yeah, and just to add to the drones, Tino is saying,
stop droning on, Les.
Yep, Gatwick around 10 years ago, and well, they tried to collar somebody for that drone, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah. So I kind of want to kind of class that as whether he sent the drone up, this guy, or what.
Do you know I bought a drone about 2 months ago, probably 3, a DJI drone, and I haven't used it yet.
Well,
so
only one person to blame for that, Paul. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, Lisa again is saying, I saw 3 silver spheres in front of my house early in the morning at 4 a.m. These spheres arranged themselves into a triangle formation. This phenomenon followed me to a new address.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Lisa. Yeah. Do you think it followed you, Lisa, or do you think it's once again your concentrated thought because you've seen it at your old address, you're now switched on to it? You listen, there ain't a right or a wrong answer, and you could be 100% right. It's there, isn't it? So whether it's followed you or whether it's just a matter of an intermind connection, that's what I'm saying.
Good, yeah.
Just like the hitchhiker effect.
Good question from Steve Davis here. If Humnum had a military involvement, are there any military whistleblowers?
You've asked the question, Steve. If there are, let's be hearing about them. I know, and I were only talking about this yesterday. I know for a fact that there's a man who saw the triangles, or he saw a huge triangle with an old couple on the road in the same time frame as when this incident happened, and the guys at the unit saw 3 big triangles. But it's interesting, isn't it, that they saw triangles days before, but the lads in the unit, it looked like a 1960s UFO. It's just like a little flying saucer with a bubble on it. Can't get my head out of this Hummunby story, I'll be honest with you. So whistleblowers, good one. Let's hope somebody comes forward. Yeah. Synchronicity and coincidence. Steve's put that question out. Wouldn't it be amazing if someone did?
Back to the drones, NWG photography. The photos and footage of the airport orb as trees full of green leaves, suggesting it wasn't taken recently. So NWG photography, you obviously got some knowledge in photography and study this. So yeah,
well, knowledge of nature.
Maybe, keep that point in mind, Paul. If you go back and look at these,
you make a great point. Yeah, because like you said, any leaves that are on trees now, unless they're evergreen trees, but I don't know what trees are there, and it sounds like you've done your homework on that one. But most of the trees leaves are either brown or they're off trees now, aren't they?
Great account here from Simon. About 2005, driving back from a gig, we saw a triangular craft high in the sky, covered in lights, seemed to follow the motorway, shot across the sky, weird angles, and disappeared. Never been able to explain it.
That's interesting, Simon. I mean, if you want to email me with that one, I'd love to hear more about it. So that's just my name, Paul Sinclair, ilf@gmail.com. Yeah, great.
Yep, and bit of tongue in the cheek humour here from Karen. Well, if they do land, my husband said they can take me back, but he loves me really.
Yeah,
well, that's nice to know that, Karen.
Well, Karen's a great supporter of Truth Proof, and nice to see that it's a little bit tongue in cheek. Great, and I'm looking forward to speaking as well. So that will be good.
Okay, Ian Linney. Oh, Ian says, Paul Brett on Friday night joined the growing list of people to see the dark figure moving near the stand. Tell us a little bit more about that one, Paul.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes. That's so interesting. Where we are on these cliff tops, for years and years, we've had the fishermen telling us about the ghost of big railings and perceiving that they've seen this apparition, but in most instances, a sphere of light. Before Pete had his operation and he were coming up regular with us, we saw a dark figure walking towards us. No mistaking, not a shadow. We saw it. Nothing came. Nothing was there. Mick Sigson were there. Me and Mick saw it. And it's not big. I'm not the catalyst for this. They've seen it with other people as well. Kinsella's came up a few weeks ago, and my eldest daughter, who were at a loose end, I keep saying mine, don't I? Though Mary hadn't had these kids, our eldest daughter, Sarah came up because she likes Phil and Ron, and she spent a bit of time up with us. And Philip and Ron are looking, and we're looking at what Linny will know, about 30 foot away. And they both literally just went, "Oh my God!" You know how Philip talks, gets all sort of heightened, and Sarah's saying, "Saw this figure or this walk in front in the darkness." Then it will last. I believe it will last. No, not last night. Friday night, Linny's up there with us. There's Mark up there, and there's Brett who'd come up with Chris Turner and Mick. Impromptu visit. Just didn't know they were coming till like, I don't know, a day, 2 days before. But Brett just said, and he knew nothing about this. He knew nothing about these figures. We'd not told him. Just seen somebody walk past, the dark shape walk past in the darkness. Mm. So it's not just spheres of light that people are seeing up there. And do we say that the ghosts? What do we say? It can't be an overactive imagination. If obviously Brett saw that on his own, but we're getting multiples seeing them at the same time, and there's too many people seeing it for it not to be real.
Yeah, and let's have a look. That's how we got. Yeah, right. Just bear with me, Paul. Scroll
all right.
a little bit. What's this from Lisa? Ranger has footage of blue sphere circling his property.
Wow. That would look good. Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah.
Zeno Churchill apparently was very fascinated about the Foo Fighters also.
Yeah, so we're going back to 1950s there, Zeno, and this is what's fascinating about what they were looking at, what they termed the Foo Fighters, orange spheres of light. So for the people that say, "Oh, it's military tech," they were being reported in 1950s the same things that we're seeing now. So it's either military tech that was so advanced it didn't need to advance anymore, because the descriptions of what they're talking about are the same as what people are seeing now in 2024 as what it was in 1950s. You know, like 74 years later or 70 years later. Yeah, I can't fail to be fascinated. They're the reason we spend so much time around these locations, basically because of, we'll not call them Foo Fighters, but these orange spheres of light.
Okay. And got a great account here from the Crafty Butcher. Evening. Whilst I was serving in the army on exercise on Salisbury Plain in 2018, we took a mobile video of lights in the field during the night, and in the morning we noticed a crop circle had formed.
Yeah, fascinating, wow. Isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to know how intricate this crop circle was.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. And did you take that with military hardware? I'd be asking. We're probably not going to get your answer, Crafty, there. Or did you take that on your own device? Should we say?
Well, I think we may have an answer. I'll just put on the next comment Crafty Butcher made. We still have the phone video from the sighting. If you want, I can send it to your podcast.
Brilliant, yeah.
You can send it to your email there, Paul.
To the email, please, which is my name, all in lowercase, Paul Sinclair, SANCLAIR, ILF @gmail.com. But you'll find email address on website, truthproof.uk.
And in tonight's description of the show.
Yeah, right. Sorry, Liz.
Yeah, and let's have a look then. Conscious of the time now, I want to end. I'm going to take a screen grab of the questions that I haven't read out, Paul. Okay. But I think there's one we're just going to finish on. Oh, well, I think this is it, actually. Let me show this one. Jane Louise Harding, formerly Bowery. Paul, would it be an idea to do a live from the cliffs?
I think it'd be great, Jane. You know, part of the reason that I got better internet service, better broadband, was because I've got unlimited data, so I could do it. But so it's done it once tonight. But if you were here a few weeks ago, you'd have realised that this internet were freezing up probably 5 or 6 times an hour. So I don't know whether we'd get away with it on cliff tops, but that's the idea, to just get some little short impromptu, put it out there, discussions up on cliffs.
I think for a more stable connection, Paul, because I know what the network availability is up there and the strength. I think a Starlink system would be more reliable, in my opinion.
Okay.
Cost money, but it's because you've got a clear view of the sky, you see.
Something like that, you know, you could probably leave it running while you're there. So if you're there an hour, 3 hours, you if you've got unlimited data, you could leave it running. I'm assuming then, yeah.
We'll have to look into that further. I think that's always been a good suggestion to do a live from Bempton Cliffs, and we'll certainly look into that. On that note, we are done, and thanks everybody for coming onto the stream tonight. Great questions as always, Paul.
Absolutely. And from myself, thank you guys. Thanks for support. 254 people in here now. Thanks, Alison. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Les. Glad you had a good holiday, and good night. Yeah, and thanks for Ken Wilkinson. Monetary support always appreciated. Oh, Ken, Ken in there, yeah. Thank you.
Very good donation. Thanks for that, Ken. And thanks, Alison. Thanks, Lee, as you'll say, Paul. And we are done, and we'll see you all on Thursday with a guest. I can't remember offhand who it is, but we'll let you know on Monday, won't we, Paul?
We will, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. We are done, and we are out. Have a good week, everybody. See you all.